I am State Representative Carl Wimmer. I represent the areas of Harriman, Riverton, and South Jordan. We know that Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4 of the U.S. Constitution gives the federal government purview over naturalization. And it's been said several times here that the federal government has failed. Failure is when you try but don't accomplish. The federal government hasn't failed. They've been implicit in the dereliction of their duty. That is what they have done. Their failure, implicit failure, to act upon the Constitution, upon those jobs and duties that are actually enumerated for them to do, has pushed down the obligation to the states to act. One of the concerns that I have is the fact that the federal government's failure to act affects state sovereignty and affects the ability for states to determine their own future and to determine the actions for their own citizens. We will hear today about compassion. And I wonder if we have compassion, if we have selective compassion. Do we have compassion for all people trying to come to the United States, or just the ones who can walk here through an open border? Thanks.
Good morning. Carlos Linares, Utah Governor's Hispanic Latino Advisory Council. We appreciate the opportunity to dialogue about this highly sensitive and emotionally charged subject. As other states contemplate copying Arizona's version of immigration reform, there's plenty of evidence to suggest that an enforcement-only strategy, whether attempted at the federal or the state level, does not solve the immigration problem. Furthermore, this new law could lead to widespread discrimination and racial profiling. It is time for Congress and the President to propose comprehensive solutions that recognize the complexity and balance needed for an orderly and fair immigration process. An immigration process that not only recognizes the rule of law, but a process that recognizes the dignity of human beings. A comprehensive approach to immigration reform recognizes that illegal immigration will never be stopped solely by building fences and putting the National Guard on the border. It requires addressing the reasons people come to the U.S., to work, to be with family, to build a new life. We need a legal immigration system that meets the demands of our economy and our families. We must refrain from passing anti-immigration type legislation until further analysis of the full impact has been evaluated. Let's focus on and objectively evaluate the economic, social, and constitutional impact of immigration in our state. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Representative David Litvak, House Minority Leader. Governor, I appreciate the invitation to be involved with this roundtable, and I appreciate your leadership on this issue. It has been mentioned that many states have stepped in to fill a void, and there's no doubt. And Utah does have a track record, and a couple of examples were provided. But I think we also must keep in mind that Utah's track record has demonstrated a comprehensive approach. Bills, some legislation that I've supported, some that I haven't. State of Utah has sponsored proactive and what some may say progressive policies beyond enforcement. We have a state DREAM Act that provides students who live here, who have undocumented students who have lived here for many years, the opportunity to attend higher education as residents. Some may say that is a very compassionate and humane approach. We have the driver's privilege card that recognizes the public policy of keeping all of us safe on the roads by having trained and insured drivers. We have demonstrated an ability to be comprehensive in our approach. My biggest concern, to echo the comments of Ms. Atkinson, is what I see happening in the community. I represent Salt Lake City and West Valley, one of the most racially and ethnically diverse districts in the House of Representatives. We have a responsibility, some may say a burden, as this panel, to demonstrate how we can have open, honest dialogue. Without hiding behind politeness, we must be honest with ourselves and we must be honest with each other. And I am hopeful that we can demonstrate how to do that for the community. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Senator Patricia Jones. I am the Senate Minority Leader. And I also thank the Governor for holding this panel. I don't have the answers today. I don't think anyone here does, or we would not be here at this present time. I do know, however, that in my view, people should be here legally. And in my view, it is a federal responsibility. And this has not been occurring over several years. It's not a Democrat or Republican problem. It's been a lack of movement nationally, both under all kinds of administrations. I do have a different point of view. I think many of the things I've heard I agree with. In my work, I interview people for a living, and it's been interesting as I interview employers, their take on the immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal, and their sense of what is happening from the front line. And that is what I hear from them, is that people of Hispanic backgrounds in particular, but other areas too, offer a wide variety. They come to work on time, they work holidays, they're willing to work the jobs that others are not. And this is something that I think is lost in this discussion. I think it's a human policy, and I think we need to honor and value the contribution that many of our immigrants have made. Of course, we want them here legally, but we need to work to do that. And I really have problems when we cannot give us a prayer in Spanish. I wonder what we are made of in Utah.
Governor, thank you for the invitation to be here. My name is Stan Rasmussen. I'm here representing the Sutherland Institute. Sutherland is an independent nonprofit public policy organization that focuses on state matters. We appreciate the opportunity to participate in today's roundtable. We're here primarily to listen so that our continuing efforts will be constructive in this area, as with other areas of policy. We concur with the comments expressed earlier about symptoms and the need to identify and clarify the causes and components of the problem. We all find ourselves here in large measure, as has been indicated, because of the failure of the federal government to establish and implement a functional immigration policy. In the meantime, there is a human intent to improve, to support one's family, to prosper. And at the same time, the American marketplace has a need for workers beyond those that are already here. But because of the federal government's failure in this context, we do not have a functional front door, and people are coming in other ways. Utah, as you indicated, Governor, has unique illegal immigration challenges. Utah is different. It is distinctive in many ways. For us at Sutherland Institute, as a public policy organization, while the issues, the challenges fall within the scope of immigration policy, for us, it is just as much about who we are as people. We would hope that when policymakers sit down, they would see immigrants as they see themselves, as people. They are not inferior or second class. They're fellow human beings.
It's time.
Good morning. My name is Luz Robles. I'm State Senator for District 1, representing the west side of Salt Lake City and parts of West Valley. Thank you, Governor, for setting the tone for respect and civility, a very needed thing to do on this critical times and with this critical issue. The states have been pushed to act due to the lack and the failure of Congress, or incompetency of Congress, going back to what Representative Wimmer said, the incompetence of Congress to act and to address this. But it's also important to recognize that this is a federal issue, immigration. I've been working with the Utah Democratic Lawyers Council, so we don't disregard the Constitution when addressing this issue, which is very important as well, and I encourage everyone to do that. Go back to that Constitution, which is so important. Reactive legislation, enforcing outside our state purview, is not good public policy, and it's going to cost a lot of money to the state of Utah, which we don't have. Solutions outside the box that are proactive, that include accountability both for individuals and employers, is what we need to start discussing. Utah is a perfect laboratory place to integrate communities in an orderly fashion, as well as making sure we improve the quality of life of all. Thank you.